If you're thinking of giving up on yourself, take a walk with me. And when we're overwhelmed beyond our capacity, this is a really easy place to get to. And it's not because you're broken or there's something wrong with you, because there's not. But you may need to remind yourself of this daily until it sinks in. You really have to start thinking of yourself as your own greatest project. You started out as a rough-cut block of marble, and like a true artisan, you're chipping away, shaping, honing, and smoothing out all of the rough edges. You're working daily to break free the masterpiece that's trapped inside of an unformed block. That is your job and your purpose on this planet, to become who you are capable of becoming. And the world and the people in your sphere of influence aren't always going to make that easy. Remember, nobody in life ever promised you that anything was going to be easy. You have to consider that at the very beginning of you, there were plenty of people that told you who you are, where you should go, and what you're capable of. Always there to remind you of what you can and cannot do. Always rooted in their perception of reality, along with their own issues, problems, and dysfunction. And more often than not, this isn't done with malice or ill intent. It's meant to protect you, to keep you safe, and to stop you from being hurt and disappointed. Your caregivers learned the hard way, and of course they would teach you the same thing. And unknowingly perpetuate an epigenetic cycle of limitation passed down from one generation to the next, with only small incremental improvements throughout each generation. Yet, the root of most of the problems still exist. That was until you came along. You're the black sheep. You are the waymaker. You reject the old ways. You may not fully believe yet, but you know who you're capable of becoming. And sometimes who you're capable of becoming might scare you a little bit, but only because joy, happiness, success, and love feel foreign to you. And it may not be all of the above. It might just be one of those things. But you're the one that's awake, and you didn't ask for this responsibility, but you've certainly taken ownership of it. And although you didn't ask for it, you're the one that's willing to heal the family line. You're probably the fun aunt or uncle that is perpetually single. And it's not because you don't want to find somebody that you don't want to date or have a relationship. It's because you're looking for something much deeper, something with substance. And swiping right just feels like a casino where you never seem to win any prizes. And the ones you do get, you never asked for to begin with. I think this is also why people have a deep nostalgia for the 80s and 90s, because you just want to get back to a simpler time. A time where there was original style and everything was just more fun. And when you start doing the work, for a while, you feel like you're living outside the mass delusion or the matrix. You begin to realize, like Neo did, that there is no spoon, and that you can start to manipulate the ones and zeros that are your code, your life. Shadow work and inner child healing are just a couple modalities that can help you begin to crack that code. And it leads you to stretching and having a greater capacity for uncertainty and discomfort. I know, you're thinking, I've lived in discomfort my entire life and it's been filled with uncertainty. But that's the fear state. What I'm talking about is the integration and release. Is there ever going to be a time where you live without fear? No, you're wired to have that in you. That's called self-preservation. You're supposed to use that. And as you begin to do the work, your empathy for others will also increase. You'll get to a place where you stop taking everything personally and realize that a lot of what you're experiencing from other people is projection. When you take ownership of all your stuff, it makes it easier to tell the difference between what's yours and what's theirs. So when somebody presents you with some bullshit, you can step back and be like, I'm good, dude. The other thing to recognize is that there's always a lonely period when you grow, develop, and expand. But give it time, and sure enough, you'll find your community. And that community is waiting on you, so keep working at it. You have to be willing to take action even when you're uncertain of the next step. And if you find yourself asking your friends, what should I do? What's my next step? And they don't have an answer for you, that's a sign. It's a sign that it's time to grow. And it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of them, but it does mean that you have to find people that are doing the things that you're doing. Remember, there is no easy button, and you're not alone. And if you ever need reassurance, just go into my comment section. And don't get so far ahead of yourself living in the future in a time period that hasn't happened yet. Life is only ever happening right now in this moment. Learn to love where you are, no matter how difficult it is, because 20 years from now, you're going to look back on these days and think, maybe I'd like to go back. And maybe you wouldn't, but you will be thankful for making the decisions that you're making right now. Just ask yourself, is the older version of me proud of me now in this moment? So if you're feeling down, just recognize that you're right on the edge of your Rocky montage moment. You may have been knocked down, but you've got Mickey in your corner. Now get up, you son of a bitch.